Hello and welcome everyone. My name is David Coven and I am President and Executive Director of Scholarship Junkies. And today we will take a look at how to become a scholarship junkie and an expert at applying for scholarship success. So I'm David Coven. I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, and I graduated from Cleveland High School a little over 2 years ago. During my scholarship success and adventures, I won enough to cover 5 years at the University of Washington. I am now in my second year pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering and applied mathematics. And over the course of this webinar, we'll look at how my story has been shaped and how I've used my story, personal experiences, to craft my applications for not only scholarships, but college applications as well. So I'm here on behalf of Scholarship Junkies, a phenomenal organization that has blossomed into a national resource for students of all kinds. It started around 6 years ago by a man named Sam Lim, who is now in his second year at Columbia University, pursuing a degree in educational policy. What we do every day, 365 days a year, is pair students applying for scholarships with individuals who've already won scholarships in an effort to better build their story, to better craft what they've done by individuals who've been there and won plenty of scholarships. We do this all for free, and we return your essay fully beautiful, fully edited, fully improved within 3 days. And so when looking at this webinar, when looking at this presentation, there are a few things I want you to keep in mind, and there are a few things I want you to walk away with. First, understanding the scholarship process and how scholarships work. It's a very big concern of mine if individuals are applying for scholarships but don't really know what a scholarship is. So we'll tackle that and make sure you have all that information. Second, I want you to be able to find where scholarships are. How do you look for scholarships? What methods, opportunities, and access is there out there for scholarship opportunities? And last, I want you to walk away with an ability, an understanding, and a skill set to craft your stories into something more competitive using the same skills and techniques that we do over here at Scholarship Junkies. So looking for today, the key question is, how will you pay for college? It's something that I've asked around the nation and at countless presentations and workshops. And I get a few of the same answers time and time again. Grants, loans, work study, savings, parent income maybe, your own income maybe. When I was looking at scholarships, and when I was pursuing college success, I didn't have the flexibility or the financial stability to count on parents, to count on my own income, or to count on family income. And so I turned to scholarships to help support my dreams to be an engineer, my endeavors to pursue scholarship success. So we're going to look at some of the ways that individuals typically pay for college. So I'm at the University of Washington, and this pie chart beautifully represents a typical way that a student can pay for college locally and around the nation. At the UW, I pay around $27,000 a year, which isn't an income, which isn't an amount of money that I have lying around to pay for college. So I turn to scholarships to help support my endeavors. But if we look at typical students, we can see that 22% of financial aid, or 22% of funding that is paid to college, is through loans. Loans are a type of income or a type of financial aid that you have to pay back. But with scholarships, it's an investment in your understanding of potential that is given to you by an individual. And so when we look at this pie chart, when we look at how individuals are paying for college around the nation, we see that a large part of it is through parent savings. It's through relative income. It's through your own income. We can see a third about scholarships, and we have some student borrowing. But it doesn't really cover the whole pie. And it most certainly couldn't cover my entire pie when I was applying for the University of Washington. And so if we look at this next page, we can see that a little bit more than half is covered by financial aid. That's federal assistance, local assistance, and scholarships. And the other portion is covered by family aid and your own aid, by the means that you've worked and the means that your family have saved. When going to college, my pie didn't look anything like this. I didn't have the lower half to support me through my scholarship success or through my college expectations. And so, when becoming a scholarship junkie, when pursuing scholarship success, you always have to have the goal in mind. You always want your pie to look like this. I'm not guaranteeing that every pie will look like this, but what I am saying is this is an ideal to strive for. This is what you should wake up towards. When you look for scholarships, when you look for colleges, this should be the expectation that you set for yourself to apply, pursue, and obtain as many scholarships as possible so you can be the next engineer, the next teacher, or the next individual pursuing their dreams on a college level. And so we have a questions and answers list, we have a chat bar, we have some functionality so you can ask me questions throughout this presentation and after. And there are a few questions later in this presentation that I want you to think about. But before that, we need to understand what a scholarship is. I've been using that word a lot. And if we look at this slide, an understanding of how free money is actually given, we can deduce that a scholarship is an investment, a financial investment in your potential to succeed based on your past experiences, based on how you're going to make a difference, and based on how you embody the core values and principles of the organization presenting the scholarship. So we look at, how do I need to make myself investment worthy? How can I make my story something to invest in? And we'll look at some of the tools to do that later, and we'll look at some of the more underlying principles of a scholarship. But it's very good that we got the basic definition down so we can move forward with an understanding of what a scholarship is and how to find a scholarship will come up in a little bit. And like I said earlier, there's a few pieces of engagement that I want you guys to think about as we go through this presentation. And the first is what I like to call scholarships true and false. Now I have two questions on the slide here, and I want you to think about them through the duration of this presentation, respond to them in the chat, respond to them with questions of your own if you like. The first one is, scholarships benefit everyone that apply. True or false? And I'm going to take a few seconds so you can digest these questions, and then we'll move past them, and at the end we'll recap, and if you have any questions, but I want to hear your answers about these two. The second question is, scholarships are only for intelligent people. And now when I ask that question in workshops, unanimously I get the same answer. And typically I get students yelling at me. And it's my favorite part because it's the most engaging for me. But we'll come back to those questions, and I want to hear your responses in the chat below or some questions of your own. And so when looking at scholarships, we know it's an investment. But do we know what they're awarded for? Do we know why people get scholarships? And I've seen some webinars and I've seen some presentations in the past where the unanimous answer is your grades and your test scores. And I'm here to say that yes, those are extremely important, extremely valuable, and you need to keep those up. But almost even more so, just as valuable is what you're doing with your time. How are you spending your time to convince an organization or an individual that your experiences are worth investing in? How are you spending your time to differentiate yourself from another individual? And so we're going to look at some criteria that a lot of people look at when giving scholarships out. And they all correlate to the same thing. What you're doing with your time. Are you spending it on academics? Are you spending it on athletics, religious affiliation, hobbies? These things demonstrate the passions and previous experiences that make you investment worthy. These different criteria help separate you and also distinguish you at the same time. And no, these are not the only criteria, but these are a few of my favorite and a few popular ones. I always tell the story when I'm giving presentations. I have a very good friend at Western Washington University, and we were talking one day about the scholarships he had won. And one of the most notable was a scholarship for $500 for being 6'2" and left-handed. And it was a phenomenal experience because it was able to show me just how broad the scholarship criteria could be. And so if we look a little past that, in this quick 10 minutes, we've gathered an understanding of what a scholarship is, an investment in your potential to succeed based on your past experiences and how you embody the organization that is making the investment. We looked a little bit at who scholarships can be given to, or what they look for, how you invest your time, how you dedicate your time outside of the classroom, as well as how you perform in the classroom. I've asked you some true and false questions to respond to and to think about over the presentation. So now we'll look into scholarship resources both locally and across the nation. One of my favorite resources, because I spend so much time on the computer, on my phone, texting, connected in some way, is the online scholarship tools and resource bank. In this list below, we have a plethora of scholarship resources, funding opportunities, and people and organizations willing and ready to invest in the powers of your dreams and the powers of your experiences. There's one note I'd like to make about this list, is that the first one, the washboard.org, is only for Washington State students. So that has an asterisk next to it because it's so special. But the other ones on our list, all these can be found on scholarshipjunkies.com, highlight the diversity and the wide array of scholarships that you have access to simply by listening to this webinar, by gaining resources, by diversifying your understanding of where resources are. And so this is one of my favorite scholarship list resources. It can all be found on scholarshipjunkies.com along with much more. And the reason why this is so phenomenal is because each of these resources are completely free. Free. There's not a lot of things you can get for free, especially an investment in your future, in your dreams. And so take some time, fill out some profiles, let the scholarships be matched to you, and let the support come to you. Another one of my favorite resources is a little more local to Seattle, but it also can be local to your community. And that's the title, Community Resources. Organizations that work to build local community impacts for scholarship support, for organizational educational support. A few partners of our CapEx, College Greenlight, College Mapper, Chegg.com, all have local industries that are guided to support your scholarship education and your educational success. Libraries, Rotary, community centers, small organizations that want to support you as individuals who will give back and contribute to their community. Libraries are one of my favorite because they contain books. Almost unanimously, when I ask students about books, no one raises their hands. But they're an untold, unopened fortune inside of books. You can open a book, any scholarship book. You don't have to buy the book, but you can definitely take advantage of the resources inside. You can skim the book, write down names, write down things that are applicable to you, go home and utilize your online tools. Google, Chegg, Fastweb, CapEx. Utilize all these individuals and organizations to support your scholarship endeavors. And one note about scholarships that I definitely want to stress, I want to tell you how important is the scholarship scams. Because there are people that want to scam you. There are organizations or individuals with ulterior motives that may want a little bit more than to help you. So key one, never pay money to submit a scholarship application. You should never have to pay another individual to invest in yourself. And so if someone's going to give you money to pursue your dreams, your education, and to pursue great and beautiful experiences, you shouldn't have to pay to invest in that scholarship application. If they're asking for credit card information, your mother's secure information, maiden name, social security, be wary. It is okay to be cautious when applying for scholarships that ask for very sensitive information. I know the Gates Millennium Scholarship is a huge scholarship. All high school seniors should look for that in January. But they ask for your social security number. And so some may not be scams, but it is important to take particular caution when they're asking for sensitive information. Also, if they're going to guarantee you a scholarship, that should raise a red flag. If anyone is going to give you $10,000 or any amount of money for something that you didn't apply for, you didn't try for, and you didn't put the time in, there should definitely be some red flags raised. So definitely be sure to ask your resources. You can ask us at Scholarship Junkies, you can ask College Greenlight, and you can ask any resources you know, is this okay? Is this legitimate? Is this viable? And those are perfectly beautiful questions to ask to keep you safe and your information safe. And so we looked at a little bit of what a scholarship is. We understand that it's an investment, and now we kind of know who gets scholarships. Individuals who dedicate particular interest to their time. Individuals who use their time to support their passions, their dreams, and things that make them investment worthy. Things that they love to do. We looked a little bit about where to find scholarships. There's a huge list of online resources. But that doesn't mean you can neglect the local community-based resources. So we know what a scholarship is, a little bit about who gets scholarships, and some more information about where to find scholarships. And now here's one of the crux, the actual application. The heart of applying for scholarship is actually knowing the details and components that you need to focus on and emphasize when looking at scholarship success. And as a scholarship junkie, I can tell you firsthand, this is where we specialize. This is where we give the most feedback and the most support for students. So please feel free to ask us questions at the end about anything that you feel I didn't cover in this webinar. So we're going to detail the scholarship application. Pretty much every scholarship application will ask for your academic record, your grades, and your test scores. They want to know how well you perform in school and how much time you're dedicating to your academic scholarly success. But also, most scholarships that I've encountered ask for an activities log, your leadership, your service, what you're doing with your time, the fundamental components of how you're building your passion, of how you're working to your dreams, can be found in what you're pursuing with your time. And so this is some of the things you can reflect on and build within your essay. The next component is the actual essay. If the scholarship does not contain an interview, the essay is one of the primary ways where they can put a face to the name, a story and identity to the experiences written on paper through your activities log and your academic record. And so the essay is critical to work on. Some scholarships may ask for interviews to get to know you in person to better complement what you say on paper, to better complement your essay strength. And one of the questions I often get almost every time I do a presentation or something like this is, why should I apply? Why should I put myself out there? And I think the question should always be reversed, more as, why shouldn't you apply? The only way I can say you will never get a scholarship is if you never step forward, put in the time, and actually apply for one. It's all about the law of attraction. I'm an engineer, so I know that there's an equal and opposite force to everything that is done. And so when you put in effort, when you put in resources, when you put in time, what you usually get back is success or a better skill set that you can apply for the next round. It takes a lot of time to win money, and it takes a lot of support and resources to better suit yourself for scholarship success. So never ask the question, why apply? The individuals who win these scholarships only ask the question, why aren't I applying now? Why aren't I looking harder and searching better for scholarship support and resources? And now that we know what a scholarship is, where to find them, and a few more details about who get them, there's two important questions. And if you can break down these two questions and understand the fundamentals behind them, you can answer almost any scholarship application essay. The first question, who are you? What experiences contribute to your identity, and what experiences can you reflect on that contribute to the passions and dreams that you're pursuing? What is your background? Where did you come from? What makes you you? What experiences can you reflect on that build the passion around the dream that you're pursuing with education? And the next question is, why do you do what you do? And these questions tie in together so seamlessly, it's beautiful. You can use your experiences and you can use your passions to understand and answer the question of, why are you pursuing these things? Who you are can tell you what experiences you've had, and why you do what you do can tie in those experiences to how you're pursuing your dreams. how you're reaching towards education, and how you may want to be the next teacher or the next doctor. And so very quickly, I'm going to look at a scholarship essay prompt, look at a response, and equip you with some of the skills that we look for and that we utilize when editing these essays. Here's the prompt. Please write a 250 to 500 word essay describing any obstacles you overcome and what you did to overcome them. And so now we're going to look at a general response from an essay or from a group of individuals who've answered this question so beautifully. And so I'm going to read this to you right now. It says, I was in a car accident when I was 8. My family's car was hit by a drunk driver, and I became paralyzed from the waist down. I had to get a wheelchair from then on, and kids at school made fun of me for not being able to walk anymore. My family helped to make sure I could go to the doctor and to all my physical therapy appointments. These appointments were expensive and they cost money. But even though I had a wheelchair, I still worked hard in school and was involved in activities like Students Against Drunk Driving. I hope to become a lawyer when I am older to help other people. Now this is a beautiful story. This has been through a lot of tragic moments. This individual has overcome hardship and definitely overcome adversity. But does it truly answer the two questions of who you are and why do you do what you do? Yes, this student explores an example of their life that demonstrates hardship. But this student has something that we like to call a script. It's something that is unique in the sense that it happened to the student, but cookie cutter in the sense that this could have happened to another individual. It's not specific enough or unique enough so that someone else couldn't put their name on this essay and claim it as theirs. So at Scholarship Junkies, we look at your essay, we look at the details, and we look, most importantly, at the story you're trying to share, and we try to shape that and help you gain the skills to shape that into something that paints a much beautiful picture, that paints a much more vivid image of who you are to the scholarship committee. And so when looking at the scholarships, or the scholarship essay responses, we ask a few questions. Is this exciting? Did the story I read capture your attention? Will you remember it when you leave this webinar? When you walk home today? Does that essay truly explain who you are and why you do what you do? Does it develop your passions, your pursuits, and use your experiences to support them? If the answer is no, then we have a little bit more scholarship junkie work to do. These are the questions and these are the perspectives you need to equip yourself to become a scholarship junkie, to be better at applying for college applications and scholarship applications. And so very quickly, we're going to look at the final draft of that essay to see how, after working with scholarship, how they've improved and a few things about what they did to improve. I'll read it now. On a late summer evening in 2002, a drunk driver struck my family's car as we were returning home from a weekend camping trip. The sudden impact crushed my legs and left me paralyzed from the waist down. I was only 8 years old. After 3 weeks in the hospital, I returned home unable to move without a wheelchair. Needless to say, I was devastated. My parents barely made enough money to support me and my 2 brothers, but they scraped to save every penny to pay my medical bills. Seeing my family sacrifice, I was determined to succeed and provide a future for my family. I helped start a club called Students Against Drunk Driving to educate teens about the dangers of drunk driving. By telling my personal story, I could share firsthand the destructive nature of driving under the influence of alcohol. These experiences have helped inspire me to want to become a lawyer so that I can keep my community safe and provide a voice for those who need it. So very quickly, I'll go over what's different. Specific details, vivid imagery, moments that make this story more unique than someone else's, even though someone else could have been in the same particular incident. Painting a picture and building your story into the most vivid, capturing, and specific one as possible can help other people paint a better picture that represents you more wholly, to invest in you better. Details like, after 3 weeks in the hospital, I was devastated. They scraped to pay every medical bill, scraped every penny. These specific details about this individual to keep my community safe and provide a voice. These help strengthen an essay by help building a better picture around your story. And now I would like to wrap up the presentation by understanding a few things that we cover very, very quickly. A scholarship being an investment. So we know it's an investment based on our experiences and our potential. An understanding of the criteria of how to apply or what they invest in for individuals. So what you dedicate your time into. We looked a little bit about where can we find scholarships? Online, locally. I gave you names of beautiful resources, books, keep that in mind. And we just delved into how do we build our scholarship story into something that's a little more competitive by painting a more vivid story, more specific details, and something that's more unique to us. So there are dozens of scholarship junkies around the country willing to work with you day in, day out, for free on building your scholarship application to be as competitive as possible. And so now that we've wrapped up, I would like to take this time to answer any questions that you have about scholarships and to review at least one of the true or false questions. If you want the answer to the first true and false question, you'll have to follow up with me, you'll have to follow up with College Greenlight, and we'll definitely make sure you have an understanding of that first answer. But for the second one, the question was, scholarships are only for intelligent people. And in the chat box below, we have a few answers that say false. And I want to tell you that the answer to that is true. Scholarships are only for intelligent people. And this is the reason why. I never said what type of intelligence. It can be emotional intelligence, academic intelligence, creative intelligence, situational intelligence. Every individual that is alive has a particular type of intelligence that may be unique to them. So to say scholarships are only for intelligent people is the same to say scholarships are only for people, because everyone demonstrates a particular type of intelligence. And so I want you to use that answer to help build your understanding of what it truly means to be a scholarship junkie, the critical analysis behind these questions. And if you want the answer to the first question, contact me, contact Scholarship Junkies, tweet us, Facebook us, or ask us in the questions below. And so now I'll take time to answer any questions that you have on the questions answers list or in the chat box. One of the questions is, how many colleges have I applied for? That's a very good question. I made sure to apply to at least 9 colleges. I had 3 reach schools that I wasn't so sure that I'd get in, but I hoped that I could. I had 3 match schools that I was like, these schools are definitely for me. These are at my level. They're looking for students who have my particular interest, my particular GPA, test scores, extracurriculars. And then I had 3 safety schools who I was like, I'm definitely above the requirements. I'm far above what they're asking me to do, what they want me to do, and the average student that applies. So I had my reach, match, and safety school. So I applied to 9 universities. Yeah. So please ask any questions. The first part to gaining scholarship success is engaging as much as possible. And so using your time to engage not only in extracurriculars, but in things like these webinars. So ask questions. Please follow up afterwards. Continue to send your essays to Scholarship Junkies in the College Marathon. Continue to utilize these resources. So we have a question. Would you have a good resources for adults returning to schools, something not limited to a specific major? Very great question. On our website, we have a lot of resources. Check.com, FastWeb are beautiful resources for individuals who are just applying out of high school. So it doesn't matter the particular age, it doesn't matter the particular website or the particular major that you focus on, but they do have resources for your college success and for scholarships for you. Next question, is it worth looking into lottery-type scholarships or raffles? I say yes, but don't focus too much on them. Raffles, kind of a random luck of draw. Utilize your time more on supporting your scholarship success. So on building your story, crafting your experiences, and using them to tell your story. So yes, they're worth looking into, but more so, utilize your skills and your time on building your story. Next one. How did you decide which college to attend? Beautiful question. I looked at what populations were there, what majors were there, and what type of area I was living in. I also looked in how big. That's a very, very important detail when choosing a college. And we're running out of time, and so please follow up with me on scholarshipjunkies.com, David at scholarshipjunkies.com. You can tweet us, you can follow us, and I will be more than happy to answer any and every question you have. There's also a chat functionality about scholarships via the college marathon, and I will be there answering questions all day, all night. So I guess I will answer one more question. Does your ACT score really matter for applying to scholarships? For example, if I have a GPA of 3.0 and a 21 on my ACT, yes, your ACT score does matter. Your test scores demonstrate how well you're doing academically outside of the classroom. And so while they do matter, they matter just as much as your GPA. They allow colleges to compare you to other individuals around the nation. Now, they may not be the most important thing in your application. Investing in the person is extremely important and becoming more important when applying to colleges. So do well on your test scores, do well academically in your grades, and also find something that you love to do, that you love to be passionate about, and pursue it with everything you have. And so yeah, thank you. I see a lot of beautiful questions that just came in, a lot of chat questions. Please follow up with me on the chat and at Scholarship Junkies, and I will be more than happy to answer any and every question that you can think of.